Donald Trump is criticizing Twitter and threatening to investigate the issue of shadow banning. This is a response to reporting by Vice News indicating that Twitter's algorithms seem to hide the accounts of certain right-wingers if people search for their names on the site. Now, here's what Donald Trump had to say about it. Twitter shadow banning prominent Republicans, not good. We will look into this discriminatory and illegal practice at once. Many complaints.
Well, it is true that there are many complaints because nothing that right wing likes to do more than cry. So they've been crying ever since the story came out. I mainly don't believe it, and I'll tell you why. This happens every time. Oh my God, the IRS is investigating conservatives more. Oh my God, let's all cry. Let's do hearings. Let's make sure that we take away money from the IRS so they can't catch rich people cheating on their taxes, right? And then you find out at the very end of the investigation, just kidding, they investigated liberals more than conservatives. So now Vice does one story where they looked up a couple of people. They looked up, and to be fair to the people.
No, I'm sure that their methods were highly scientific and accurate, and that they did like a full, like blown investigation to ensure that everything that they're reporting is accurate about this.
And we'll give you Twitter's response in a second too. But they looked up a couple of people, and they say that they didn't show up in the search in their official profile, and a couple of conservatives didn't show up, a couple of liberals did. Now, my guess is people will do it all, over and over again. And after Ted Cruz does his stupid hearings on it, which is probably coming up anytime now, right? Because they love to pounce on stuff like this. Someone will actually do a scientific study and realize they probably ban liberals more.
So,
okay, that's my guess, because that's how almost every one of these stories goes out.
But more importantly, look, I know that everyone who uses social media thinks that the world revolves around them, and that Twitter cares a lot about them and is watching, like they think there's literally a person sitting at a desk who's just following them and tracking them at Twitter, right? That's not what's happening. So everything on these social media accounts, there's so many users, guys, come on, be smarter than that. They use an algorithm, and guess what? Sometimes algorithms suck. And what they do is try to use this technology to decipher whether or not certain accounts are following their guidelines. And if the algorithm flags someone's page because it appears to not follow its guidelines, then look, it's an issue if it's incorrect. And it appears from this story that the algorithm was faulty. And so Twitter has fixed it, and I'm happy that they fixed it, because I don't want prominent Republicans or prominent Democrats to be shadow banned simply for their political ideology. But it has nothing to do with political ideology. It has everything to do with them trying to balance the heat that they get for all the crazy people on Twitter, right? And then also, make sure that they provide an open forum for well-meaning people who want to engage in political debate. It's a difficult thing to do. Twitter is, look, by the way, this applies to the right and the left. I get it, you don't like the social media, right? Social media gets crazy. People like cry and whine about social media all day. Then get off of social media. Like, these are private companies. They are not obligated to do anything for you. They're just not.
Look, I understand all that, but we can say something that the mainstream media cannot say. The mainstream media cannot tell you, well, there's a reason why sometimes right-wingers get banned more on Twitter, or the shadow banning or whatever else is going on. And I'm gonna give you both sides in a second, because Twitter did admit to something, and it's important, you should know the whole story, okay? But the part that they leave out is because the right wing is much bigger douches. They say terrible things on Twitter all the time.
By the way,
they say hideous things.
Hold on. Look, saying hideous things, sure, that's bad, I guess, right? But I don't have a problem with that. People are gonna say hideous things. What I do have a problem with is the smear campaigns that take place on Twitter that intentionally spread lies about people, intentionally spreads propaganda about people, defame people, try to destroy people's lives. What Cernovich tried to do with Sam Cedar is a perfect example of that. He's tried to do that with other individuals as well. I mean, look, people took a picture of me and my husband, okay, and photoshopped Cenk onto it, and then started to spread it all over the internet, and it looked very realistic. And it was terrible, because you have family members who were like, what is that? Is that real? And it's a way of trying to defame people and try to destroy their lives. That goes on Twitter, and that is specifically done by right-wingers like Cernovich. So
it's not an even playing field. So when the mainstream media calls it 50-50 and goes, oh, are Republicans being discriminated against? They're leaving out a giant context of the story, which is that right-wingers on purpose make up lies, Photoshop pictures, and then spread it all across the internet. And when occasionally social media catches them and says that violates our term of service because you're lying, they go, oh my God, you are discriminating against Republicans. No, they're discriminating against things they should block, things that are lies, things that are outrageous, things that are abusive. And by abusive, I don't mean your opinion, but when they personally attack people, when they dox people, and I don't mean attack like, hey, they call me a brown buffalo. Have at it, Hoss, write 1,000, 1,000,000 tweets about that. I don't care, and that shouldn't be banned at all. You think I'm a terrible guy, you think I criticize me in 100 different ways, that's fine. But when you attack someone, calling them all sorts of racial names as they did with the woman from Saturday Night Live. And then on top of that, you layer in, this is her house and you should do something. Well, if social media is in an impossible spot, either they do nothing and go, yeah, sure, go ahead, go see if you could hurt her, right? Or you say, well, you monsters, I can't allow you to do that. I'm gonna be in legal trouble. Then they turn around and cry and cry and cry. They're the biggest bitches in the world. They're so pathetic. And then they will pretend like for now, like, oh, he said bitches. I guarantee you they will cry about that. As if they care.
They don't.
These are the people who are writing pro-rape tweets. And then they turn around and pretend they care about women. So we don't have an even playing field. So now let me give you just the two pieces of context that are important to this particular story. Twitter did say, we are aware that some accounts are not automatically populating in our search box. So I'm giving you the full context. So Twitter said that is true that some are not populating in the search box. Now we're looking to fix it, we did fix it, but is it based on bias? So here's what Twitter product head Kevin Bakpour said, to be clear, our behavioral ranking doesn't make judgments based on political views or the substance of tweets. There's no human being who's going around going, I don't like Ronna McDaniel who runs the RNC. And they did not program into the code of the algorithm discriminate against some Republicans, but not others. They're not gonna put that in an algorithm, it would destroy the company, right? No, and so what they do explain is that they do focus sometimes on bad conduct as opposed to ideas, okay? So a lot of times that affects the right wing more because they commit more bad conduct. So, and by the way, if there was people on the left who are doxing people and saying, go get them and hurt them, we'd be 100% against them. And instead of doing what the right wing does, oh, Twitter's biased against liberals. What we would say is, no, that's unacceptable and you should ban that person. But there are some people who are not great actors on the left. It is nowhere near the mountain of awful, hideous people on the right wing who do this on a regular basis. And if you're not one of them, then you don't have to cry. Then go do your criticism, do your harsh criticism of me, of anyone else. But that's not what's happening here. The only ones they take action against are the ones that actually endanger people. And overwhelming majority of the time, that's the right wing. Two easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.